Hello and welcome back to the brewery. As you can see, a brew day that will be in another video is still going on in the background, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Manchester Homebrew Will It Brew Challenge, which this is my challenge. So this is the second year we've run this challenge, where for one meeting earlier in the year, everyone brought along an unusual brewing ingredient and we sort of swapped them around in a raffle. The difficulty of these ingredients has varied wildly, as has their practicality to brew with. I mean, last year we had things like dried mushrooms, star anise, a bale of hay, some tins of treacle, some tropical fruit juice, and worst of all, and yes, it was my fault, some pig's blood. Dried pig's blood that you used to make black pudding from. If you want to hear more about the black pudding one, the guy James who brewed the beer with it did a podcast with Basic Brewing Radio about it, because the Will It Brew idea is stolen from what they have done at Halloween over the past probably 6 or 7 years. So for this year's challenge, I've only got a couple of them written down. There was all sorts of interesting bits and pieces. I know we had some tins of potatoes, which I'm going to see if anyone can get much flavour out. Big evil, I gave someone the bags of dried crickets this year, and I, probably because I deserve it, got this palm fruit base. So the first notable thing about this is when you look at the nutritional information on the back, as you can see it has the randomisation number. Per 100 grams we have 41 grams of fat. If I put this straight in the beer, you'd have either slick oiliness on the top and absolutely no head retention, and probably be quite vile. So I've been trying a few things to make it actually work. Okay, so in a moment I'll pull out the first one. Okay, so here's my first attempt to get the fat out. Appetising, isn't it? So this, I emptied one tin into a pan and boiled it for a couple of hours, and then let it chill and then froze it. On top you can see it's come out a fairly thick layer of fat. That's probably 15% maybe. So it's not got all the fat out, but it's got a lot. So this is going to be one of the things I try. I'm going to try and get that layer to lift off the top almost independently, and then treat that and the bottom half separately. Here we have the fat separated well from the rest of it. The fat we'll be using later. The rest of it will be going into a secondary vessel with maybe a gallon of the beer. Okay, so my second cheapest Tesco vodka has arrived, and now we have a very delicious looking mixture of fat and spirits in the jar. I'm going to give it a little while, put it somewhere cool, and see how that turns out. Shortly we'll try out the second method and see what that looks like. Right, back for the second half of this video, about attempting to get a beer that contains flavours out of this soup base. The idea here is I'm going to dump a whole tin of this into the jar here, and then I'm going to top it up with this second cheapest Tesco vodka here. Try and do an alcohol extract of the whole thing. Quick shot of the stuff in the tin, just to show you how lovely and delicious it looks. It actually smells like it could make a decent soup base, not exactly an obvious beer ingredient. Okay, it's in the jar and looking like, well, cheap cat food, but well, it smells like a decent soup. I think I may save the last jar and see if I can make the real soup out of it, because that's probably the best use of this stuff. Not really for beers, but we'll see. That's the challenge of Will It Brew. Now soaked in vodka. Time to put it somewhere cool with the one with the fat in it and see what we get out of here. And think about how we're going to dose this into the beer in the end. Excellent. I'll give you an update on this probably in another video as we get towards the beer needing to be ready for the Can It Brew challenge.